name is Steve Schmidt, as introduced. So appreciate that very much on the introduction. Just to give you some more context about what I think you'll appreciate about today is we hear a lot about content. We hear a lot about things like the LinkedIn algorithm. We hear a lot about just all sorts of things about the truth and what isn't the truth. And ultimately, we've all seen LinkedIn give us a big compression downward, right, in terms of overall impressions, right? And that can be depressing to people. I think I've certainly seen that. But what I will say is we're very, very excited about the fact that what we've seen is although impressions have gone down, when targeting, call it those people to grow your audience in your ICP, our business is up. And so we've really hyper defined that and use content led selling, which is what I'll be talking about today. So today, I'm going to tell you about content led selling, our own journey into why we adopted this from a former sales guy, call it, to a marketer, and the results that we had along the way, and then how you can do some of the same things. So we're going to whip you through the playbook as well today. So that'll all take about 15 to 20 minutes tops, and I'll open it up for any Q&A. So with that, let's get started. So I appreciate that. There's the slides. There's my fancy signature. Just so you know, I did use the new ChatGPT yesterday to help complete this. I love the fact that when you make pictures, it just throws random things together. And I always go, we got a long ways to go, but look at where we are. And so all of these social channels are overwhelming. YouTube, LinkedIn. You could spend a full-time equivalent times 10 just learning these channels and how to optimize them. They're changing that much. And if you go over to Reddit, things get really interesting. Now you're on Twitter, and pretty soon you go, man, my head's spinning. Where do I really need to land? Well, today we're going to say there's two places you need to be that we found over all other channels that we decided to plant on. One is LinkedIn, and the other is YouTube. So let's talk about it. As we move ahead, let's again talk about content-led selling. It is the idea that I'm not going to pitch you. I'm going to prove to you value. I'm going to educate you. I might even entertain you. And if you find that valuable, ultimately you will do business with me. So content-led components, we have content, trust, value, revenue, engagement, transition. This slide got botched. I love it. But we're really looking at this as a bridge, right? Your content builds trust. And if it's organic, it can build more trust by being yourself, but not so much of yourself that people have no idea what you do. And I think that's where I'll plant and say, if anything, me too, hand included, the last 3 years on LinkedIn, we saw a lot of great posts. And I'm going to get to it here in a second. You'll appreciate this as marketers. Feels like people didn't pay attention to keywords. It was very ephemeral. Here today, gone tomorrow, right? It was just a moment in time, that post. And I saw some agencies charging CEOs $5,000 a post. And I thought, I don't think I've ever seen a bigger waste of money, because that post could have been a newsletter, which is now SEO searchable. That post could have been a YouTube video. And maybe that post did become that, right? So I just look on the outside. It's not about the post anymore. It's really about the platform. So here's facts that we know to be about the algorithm. So relevancy, right? And we all go, gosh, tell me how to do that, right? That's really up to you to find out what your people are talking about. I'm going to show you some tools to figure out exactly the questions they're asking in real time today. And then user interactions, right? So are we actually interacting with the people in a way that they would want to read it? Now, here's an exercise you can do. Pull out your phone right now, go to LinkedIn and start scrolling, and you'll see you won't be impressed. You're going to see a lot of the same stuff, maybe some good nuggets here and there, but we've all been trained to also view our own feed. So I want to challenge you while you're listening to this. If you don't like your feed, it's your problem. You need to change it. You need to unfollow the people you don't want to follow. You need to follow the people who you should follow. You need to follow people in your space. I always say the number one way to make money on LinkedIn is to focus on your work on LinkedIn, not everybody else's work. And it's very challenging for a lot of young reps to do that, especially SDRs. They get in this big wide world of internet. Now ChatGPT, you can do anything. You'll do anything. Expertise. Let's talk about that. How can you become an expert? That's the angle I like to take. I don't consider myself, I suppose, an expert just because that feels weird to say, but by years of experience, I can help highlight that. I can try and tell people, here's what I did. Here's how you could do it if you want to too. And that's the other thing, is people like to be talked to in a way that does not say do this or else, or do this and you'll be successful. They want to say, here's what I did, and I'll lay it out very simply. And if you like it, you can use it too. So they want to see, here's what you did. Here's, you had a problem. You fixed it. Here's how you did it. You could do it too if you want to. And images and video, real quickly on this. Um, Posts with images, 2 times more comments, depends on the image, right? Videos, 5x more engagement. We know that to be true. Still has to be a good video. I would say when you look at engagement on video, it's not about the impressions. It's the fact that immediately you're jumping the line by using video. People will watch. You just got to keep them. Something we've done, and this gets into YouTube here, is we've started to use with our clients the LinkedIn post, comment on a link to YouTube, although LinkedIn hates that, and I've been shadow banned because of it. And now you're over to YouTube, and now they're able to subscribe to your channel and actually see your posts on a regular basis. The same thing is with a newsletter, right? When you publish a newsletter on LinkedIn, they get it via their email. Post, nope, not unless you follow them. And even if you have the bell, you might not see it. So again, I'm taking the emphasis off of the post, which sounds crazy because I've been talking about posts being the stuff for 3 years. Long form is back. Long posts, questions, provoking discussion is back. Why is it back? Because automatically it says that ChatGPT would be challenged to write that much without looking like it. So if you take the time to write that post and you were to write one post, i.e. a newsletter once a week, that's 1,200 characters. You're going to have a bigger impact than if you wrote 5 200-character posts. A little bit of less, do more with less, pardon me. Best times, that hasn't changed. Frequency hasn't changed. None of this has really changed, guys. And that's the thing, is although we're changing and we're growing, LinkedIn is now 1 billion users. I think what's changing is the idea of how we're using it. Can you use LinkedIn as a selling platform like YouTube? I think the answer is no. And everybody would probably agree with that. Nobody wants to be sold to click a button to then buy. You can experiment with it, but I would say have a different goal than to get a meeting. Get them further along in the journey, get them into your pipeline content funnel. And now you're able to use those analytics to then do whatever you want with the data, right? You can advertise to those people. You can make posts and try and signal out those people. A strategy that not a lot of people are utilizing that I've seen very effective is to actually deploy that mid-funnel. So talk about the problems your customers came to you in discovery who are now in your funnel, but don't name them by name. That's a very interesting story. Or you can pull a Chris Walkerism and ask them if you mind if they record it and if you share it, and just play back the video where you're answering the questions to that video, and that will subtly bring back their attention and say, gosh, that sounds a lot like us. Wait, that is us. Oh yeah, this is a big problem. We should fix it. So it's a mid-funnel content strategy as well. Real good graphic here on percentage of channels used by C-levels. 80% of CEOs log into LinkedIn. As you can see, YouTube, it drops to about 68%. Twitter's a little higher, Facebook down, and then Instagram and TikTok, you may as well not bother. According to the data, I'm saying. I'm not saying not to bother. Here is the 3 primary channels for content-led selling. So let's look at the forms, pardon me, and then we can drive those to the channel. We have long form, short form, and direct outreach. We believe that outreach is content. I think the demand gen folks would agree as you're testing messaging out. You need to be going outbound as well. Content is passive. Content is awareness. Content is education. Content is not syncing with someone one-to-one to take them through the next step of that, pushing them a little bit out of their comfort zone to now meet with you to further engage. So we use an outbound approach. So our content-led approach yields 31% of the results. And last year we did 174 million across the portfolio of companies we have was from this direct outreach on LinkedIn and across other platforms, but primarily LinkedIn DMs, the stuff you guys get to hate, don't like to receive. It's how they do it. And it's that they don't do it until 2 months after posting or 2 weeks. And it's not asking for an appointment. It's saying, hey, knock, knock. You probably know me by now. And they're familiar with you. So that's something we see working very well. And as a matter of fact, I challenge anybody who's not doing this today to deploy some sort of outbound strategy via DMs to those people in a very authentic way. That's up to you with your C-level into your decision makers. It makes an immediate impact. Newsletters are back. Seems weird. What's out is in. We started a newsletter consistently, 58 editions, I believe now, a little over a year. That newsletter is a big part of our awareness to funnel mechanism. The thing I liked about this is once in a while, I like to still tap back into the ego I tried to let go of a while ago. But I said, man, we're going to call our shot and prove to people that organic content can get you on the front page of a very competitive Google search without paying a dime. So we wrote a newsletter about how to write a LinkedIn newsletter. And then we put, and what you should want to, right? And why you should want to, right? So how to write one and why you should want to. So we wanted to stand out. Now, the newsletter didn't perform that much better than everything else, but it did put us as the number one organic search on this, right above Neil Patel, right above some other big names like Adobe, and we are not paid, right? So how do we get there? Now we're getting leads off of that, and we're getting people to subscribe to our newsletter off of Google. So we love that, right? Here, let's go into YouTube. $41 million is spent on the platform daily. It's a lot of money. And that's for professional development primarily. People paying out of their pockets to get better. If they can do it, businesses can do. I'm convinced. We use a tool called vidIQ. I'm sure many of you on this tool, this call, pardon me, have used this tool. Pardon me. What this does real simply is, if you zoomed in on this, you would see very clearly. Let's just try and get in here quick. Overview, how to write a LinkedIn newsletter. Okay, so on the same topic, I went into there and typed that keywords chain in, and it said the search volume is as such, right? It's a low to medium search volume. There is some competition for it, not a lot, right? But it tells me what questions people are asking. Therefore, we get a lot of people say, well, what should I use to make YouTube videos? And should I just make explainer videos? I'd say just use this tool, go in, find out what people are talking about, find out what people are asking questions, more importantly, about, and then answer those, and then do it in a longer form than the last one, and use a tool like vidIQ to help give your video a title, keywords, and pick all of those things that you need to make a YouTube video show up in a search. There's not a guaranteed result to this by any stretch of the imagination, but it is one way, even if you're not making videos, and if you just want to write, just like SEMrush, you can go to this tool and type that in and find out what people are looking at on YouTube, because that's driving a very, very good imprint on the algorithm as well. And YouTube, as you know, kind of in bed with Google, and videos like to show up on that homepage as well. So if you get good at YouTube, you can get really good at being searchable by driving people to your video. As long as you have a journey, once they get to your YouTube channel, how are they getting in? Is it a playlist? Is it a hook video from that search into a playlist that's meant to convert them? Or is it meant to just get them on your channel so they stay there? Lots of things to think about with YouTube. All right, guys, this is the content-led inputs. So this is exactly what I promised you would give you. So out of the LinkedIn, out of the YouTube, out of the newsletter, what do we do on an annual basis to drive 101% of our revenue? It is this. None of the posts are written with AI. We research with AI. We use vidIQ for YouTube, which I just showed you guys, both shorts and long form. We do a newsletter every other week for most clients. We do 52. We do one a week for ourselves. So that does take about 3 hours a week. And you start to look at this and you go, man, it's really time consuming still with AI. And you go, yeah, it's 500 pieces of content to plan, create, edit, publish, measure, attribute. It's 1,000 hours, right? It's a lot when it adds up. So what does it do on the return? Everybody says it takes a lot of time. One of our favorite clients, the Maker Group, about 13 months ago, I was working with them, my first client. I said, guys, we got to do a podcast. It has to be about negotiations because that's what you do. It's a really cool subject. And they said, okay. And we were really struggling with outbound. And I said, we'll get good guests on. We'll get the guests you want. We'll get some influencers. And we had 52 guests come on. What happened out of that was incredible. We converted an offer to every podcast guest who was on at 2 tickets that were each worth $6,000 that they could give away to anybody to a virtual negotiations webinar or training. Out of that, 32% of those people have converted to final stage pipeline. Some of those logos include SAP, T-Mobile, big logos, all started from a YouTube only based podcast where we converted the guests without saying anything to them about, hey, thanks for being on the podcast, buy our stuff. We just kept giving, and they got us viral, which was amazing. So that's a quick case study because I like that one because that's what it is. It really is about being creative, coming up with an offer that's very low to no entry. They don't have to spend any money, take any time unless they choose to invest it, and make that be your product led growth mechanism. Let's go back to like the old way of doing it here. Let them try you before they buy you. Content led focused channels, YouTube and LinkedIn. We talked about that. That's it, guys. I wish I had more to my presentation. I wish this was harder than I just made it. But the truth is, content led selling is not hard. You have the tools just like everybody else does. I would say there's 3 key things to wrap up that you should not do, because I don't want to tell you what to do. Here's what not to do. AI is not coming to save you, and it will not accelerate your content plan. It will help you on every other perimeter except for the content itself. The research, the design, you still got to be you, because people are still buying from people. Number 2, if you are not having your executives post and you think that could be a strategy that they should deploy, I would say whatever it takes to get them over the fence, get them there. Not every executive should be posting. Not every executive should be making videos. I don't believe that. I used to think that, and then I said, got smart and said, gosh, they're probably really good at other things. They're probably really good at in-person networking, maybe speaking at events. Maybe they're really good, just a good CEO, and people just love their company and they don't need this. And I say, so it's not for everybody, but it is for people who want to have a competitive edge and be seen when they're not seen today and have a lasting impression on people. And number 3, and this is the thing I've tried to learn desperately this year, and I'm getting slightly better at it, is if you're not having fun with it, it shows. And if you're not having fun with content, even if you're in a very serious field, I say it's not worth it, because creating should be fun. It should give you the sort of energy that lights you up, because sales and marketing is hard. If we take the creative elements out, it starts to suck. So never forget to keep the creativity in, because that's up to you. You are going to be the ones who decide how much we adopt AI and how much we keep ourselves in this process. I think you will get into it when you get out of it what you put into it. If you don't put much into it, you're going to get very little out of it. Whether that's a little inputs into AI expecting a lot, it's not going to happen. A lot of inputs expecting a lot of outputs with just AI probably won't happen. A little bit of work, a little bit of AI, a lot of creativity, and the right channels, and you'll have fun and you'll make a lot of money. I promise you. All right, I'm wrapped up, guys. Any Q&A from me?
I can jump in here and help facilitate. I did see a few questions come in. One I saw is, what tips do you have for posting videos? Is there specific content that does better?
Yeah, I'd say right now, go back to your mobile phone on LinkedIn. I think even a shaky walk and talk is better than a well-produced Zoom podcast. I think we've all grown immune to the 2 faces sitting next to each other. And I can't say how much I can't wait for that trend to be over with.
No, I think that's great. Kind of on the same note, I mean, you're talking about how videos can get 5 times more engagement. Is that the short form? Is that the long form? Like, how long are we talking to really optimize that engagement?
Here's the good part about that question. And it's not, it depends. There is an answer. If someone's engaged with you, it's really about whoever makes it to the finish line. Finish line is about the halfway point, right? Because they don't need to watch the whole video. On LinkedIn, you're really looking for the analytics, by the way, that they don't give us, which is the video watch time on LinkedIn. Like the things that we should be getting to actually be able to make good videos. It's hard, but it does really well on the platform. So I would say, from a video perspective, Will Aiken is a good example of impossible not to like his content, right? He's funny, he's smart, he knows what he's talking about. He seems very genuine, and he's an actor, right? And he's got a British accent or whatever. Like, he's got all the parts. You do that same thing over here, it doesn't probably work as well. And so I think it still really depends on the creator inputs for video, on the format. I don't think everybody should be doing super produced video. I don't think everybody should try and be Devin Reed and go to the top story of a skyscraper and pay 10 grand a day to interview people. I think Devin's earned that right to do that in his journey, and jumping the line will get you in trouble. And so be careful on how you come out to look bigger than life. It's important, but also appreciate that you are new to this, and it's okay to not have to be super big and spend a bunch of money day one, because people are kind of off put by that.
Yeah. I mean, is it different for LinkedIn versus YouTube? Like, can you post content and kind of get the most out of in both channels, or is it better to create unique content for each of those specific channels?
Unique content, but you can borrow for sure. I mean, here's what I would say is like an explainer video is not going to perform well on LinkedIn, right? Unless it's like a demo release that you just nobody knew about. And they'll go, oh, what's this? They're just not there to see that. Like they just don't want to be convinced. I mean, we're all working. We're like, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? What's in it for me? Can I sell something? Can I sell something? Like we're not like, ooh, can I be inspired by somebody? It's just not usually what I go to LinkedIn for. No offense, LinkedIn. I get inspired by other platforms, and usually with things that aren't about making money. Like it's about things with my kids or like music that makes me feel a certain way. I do not go to LinkedIn for inspiration. I'm sorry, I just don't. Right. And so I think entertain them, let them know that, hey, I know you probably don't want to be here too, but I'm going to make it worth your time to do your job. And I think we all forget that not everybody is obsessed with their job like we are. Creators are obsessed with what they do and themselves. It just is what it is. And I think when we accept that, not everybody else thinks like that. That's okay. Then it just is fun, you know?
Yeah. And you touched on it a little bit. You were talking about like the reason that you go to LinkedIn and what you're looking to see.
Yeah.
And you talked about it too in your presentation about if you don't like your feed, change it.
Yes.
And unfollow people and follow new people. Can you maybe expand a little bit more on how to really maximize the potential of your LinkedIn and how to find new people with content that resonate with you?
Gosh, I love the question because there's really an easy way. Go to LinkedIn Sales Navigator and look in the feed of the people who you're actually trying to connect with, who are in your target audience. That avoids all the fluff. It keeps you focused. Now that's, you know, in sales, I would say, or any field, it's hyper relevant. Because now you can do so much, right? Now you're really looking at your business versus the internet. You're looking at what you want to see versus what LinkedIn wants you to see. Yeah. And that to me is the feed that I go to because I want to see who's posting in my core audience. I'm desperate to learn what they're talking about every day. I don't really care what someone's talking about on a cold call script of an SDR. Respect for that, huge. Do I want to see my feed with it? It's not relevant. So I just unfollowed all those people. You know, and so it's not like I don't like them. I just don't follow them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. No, I like how you kind of said that you focus on your core audience.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's easy to get caught up in like following people who are in similar roles and seeing what they're doing. But what a great advantage to
That's one way to get depressed though, right?
Audience.
I always say if you want to get depressed, follow a bunch of your peers because they're all trying to look very cool. You'll be inspired if you follow the people you're selling to. I promise you. And that's the way we've done it wrong. We all want to compare, right? There's not, I always say, if you really want to go look at this, go look at SDRs on LinkedIn. Again, I'm kind of picking on them today. I used to run an agency. I love them. They're great, but they're entry level, right? So they're kind of like, you know, yeah, I just booked a bunch of cold calls. Like I'm the man. And you're like, oh boy, like, you should be going after your target audience and you should be subscribing to everything they do on Reddit and you should be attending every workshop in that space you could. And you should be publishing a newsletter about your curiosity in the space with people in the space, not talking about how you just kicked ass on a cold call. Now I get it, but I feel like this is the SDR of the future. And the way that we can help mold them is embolden them and make them really good at being prompt engineers. If you haven't gone on the new ChatGPT release, welcome to a new world. Hello. Holy smokes. I got smacked in the face by it yesterday, guys. And I was so inspired. I was so inspired because anybody can do anything now. But like everything else, very few people will do it, even though it's right there. So all of us will still have jobs. All of us will still be able to create. And I think if anything, your ability to create engaging visuals and videos in 2-3 minutes. I mean, we created a podcast flyer for a customer yesterday. And I'm like, we would have paid $500 for that 2 months ago. And we made it look just like a Marvel comic book with their faces all done up, standing on a certain planet with their color of green flagpole. And it was that easy. And so I think where we're going with it is people are going to want to see that. But if everybody can do it, how are you going to do it creatively? And it's still art because now you can still mold it to be art, right? And that's creativity.
Yeah. Are there any risks with leveraging AI when it comes to this video content and what you're describing as like really like what are the risks that kind of come with it? I know there's people that are like fully bought in, and then we kind of have the audience who's like a little apprehensive. And I worry about like with content and graphics, if we'll
Yeah.
run into like some form of like AI fatigue. Like, what are your
Oh
attitudes
boy,
to
I am
that?
already tired with AI. I mean, I'm already like there. I don't know about you guys. I just am kind of like, okay, like this is not going to be a fight. It is here. Like I have to figure out how to make it work. There are AI channels, right? You guys go to YouTube, the channels that have no people, faceless
Mhm.
channels that make millions of dollars. So I would say, is it effective? Yeah, you could spin one up in your bedroom tonight and go make a bunch of money explaining how to sew a button on a shirt. Like that is sort of the future of explainer videos, I think, for a little bit on YouTube for consumers. I think the AI fatigue will come more in more vanilla. You know how you get vanilla emails now? If everybody just started using vidIQ and using the same titles and the same descriptions and the same terrible thumbnails that look like Mr. Beast, but are like not Mr. Beast, then we're going to get fatigued over there. So it's like, I have always
Yeah.
loved bands that artists that come out that are not like anybody else. It's always been my thing. I love businesses like that and creators. That's my thing. I like Radiohead. I like other things that just aren't mainstream. And I think have that edge right now, and you're going to stand out more than ever because AI does not give you edge. AI does not give you attitude, and AI does not know your competition.
Yeah, no, I really like that. I kind of had one last question. So, for people that are really trying to get started, who maybe feel inspired by your session and they're like, this is so cool, I want to start trying it and getting into it, do you feel like a better starting point is it just to go through your old content and update kind of like your keywords, or is it just
Mm.
better to create new and original content and start from scratch?
Love it. Start with a vidIQ. Use their free Chrome extension. Go there, audit it. Right. I have no connection to them, by the way. That's what we use. Go there and audit it just to kind of go back and you be like cringing a little bit. And so then what happened to me is I was like, oh, I got to make a bunch of new content because this stuff sucks. And like the experience of learning through that of what you didn't do right the first time is just going to exponentially make your video creation process easier. We, for example, know exactly our newsletter topic. We write around that. We're producing 5 videos that I go set up a camera, film 5 minutes, and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We then take those 5 videos, put them with the 5 posts, put them into a playlist on YouTube. Now we're topicized with the newsletter. We're capitalizing on authority and compressing as much of that keyword as possible. So we're creating our own keyword strains and going to the top.
Very interesting. Well, I really appreciate all your insights. If just reiterate, if someone's trying to get a hold of you or
Yeah.
ask questions, what's the best way to do that?
LinkedIn's great. Yeah. Steve Schmidt. I'm the guy with the, that was like the first day AI was out. I used that picture maker. So that's me with the glasses. Just DM me, and we have a bunch of people here over the team. We'd love to meet with you and just chat in general and see what's going on.
Great. Well, thank you again, Steve. Hope you have a
Thanks,
good rest
guys.
of your day. Thanks for
Thanks,
joining
Jenny.
us.
All right. Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.